I love providing these podcasts to you so much, as you know. And I hope that you've all been loving the free private practice resource hub too. I'm super excited to let you know that I'm opening up the doors to my coaching program, the one-to-one coaching program for 5 women to work with me. So if that's something that you're interested in, please send me an email. The email address is in the show notes. Thanks, guys. Welcome to the Private Practice with Soul podcast. My name is Dr. Brooklyn Storme, and I help private practice owners align their business back with their soul's calling, with their big vision and with their soul's purpose. Unlike other private practice coaches, I've traveled the world in search of spiritual resources, spiritual tools, education and information so that you can have the transformation that your soul desires and needs so that you can up-level your business. How much fun is this? I love it so much. Guys, if you're not already a member of the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship Group, please check out the show notes. I would love for you to be there. In the meantime, thank you so much for pushing play today. Let's begin. Hi, happy Saturday morning. Welcome to another episode of the Private Practice with Soul podcast. Thank you so much for pushing play on another episode. And yes, welcome to the new subscribers. Hi guys, I hope that you're loving it. If you want to listen to the podcast in categories, you can absolutely do that if you head over to the Private Practice Hub. I'll put the link in the show notes for you. You can listen to all the ones on alignment, all the ones on starting a private practice, all the ones on marketing. It's all there in little bundles and packages for you, so you don't have to spend hours scrolling through 200 odd podcasts, because I know you don't have time for that. I don't even have time to review my podcasts half the time, so I get it, and just want to make your life a little bit more simple for you. So today, I was thinking actually yesterday about writing a post because, I've sort of pulled back on how much I'm spending time online lately, and I have decided, instead of just like posting 10 times a day every day on Facebook and stuff like that, not that I really was, but you know what I mean, that's how it feels sometimes, doesn't it? I decided that I wanted to go for quality over quantity, and so now I'm just posting 2 or 3 times a week, but I'm trying to make the posts that I do share powerful, I guess, in some way. Powerful for me means that they get you to really think about things, or they get you to see things from a different angle, a different perspective, or to be open to shifting something for yourself. And so what I'm doing is I've listened. So it's been so cool, right? This doesn't happen that often. People don't often email. I'll be totally honest. People don't often email. But lately, a few people have been emailing in response to the podcast. And it's it's like, it sends me off into a state of bliss consciousness. It really makes me feel so good when that happens. And I understand from those of you that do connect in with me, that's what is landing for you is when I'm sharing my own real life experiences. So that's what this week's Facebook posts have been about, and it's what today's podcast is going to be about as well, which, come on, they usually are me sharing a lesson from my experience, because I want to be transparent. Plus, I want to save you the hassle of going through the drama that I went through, which, by the way, thank you so much to Michelle for asking me if my, if everything's sorted out with my lease now. Yes, it is. And I got my bonder back this week. So yay, we've closed that chapter on the practice. So many lessons learned there, but give me time to process that first. It's still all very raw. Okay. So what I want to talk with you about today is, something that I was reflecting on recently around fees, and it came up because, as you know, you probably see me in a few Facebook groups online, but every now and again people reach out because they're confused about, what fees they should be setting, or they don't feel sort of good enough or worthy enough. And, it really makes me I just have so much compassion for these women because I was there too. And I know what it looks like for those of you who are new to the show. It might look like I've got it all together. But the thing is, I didn't get here without learning through, my own journeys of transformation. And so what I have come to learn is that I believe, and I know this is going to, maybe bother some of you or trigger some of you, but I'm saying it with love, and I'm saying it from an intention of coming from, my soul space, and I want to help you and support you. So hopefully it's going to land for you. But I believe that you're worthy irrespective of what fee you charge. Right? Now that sounds all good, and I'm sure many of you are going to agree with me there. But when I break it down a little bit more, you might start to experience some resistance within yourself, and that's okay. But when you experience that resistance within yourself, that's like a little notification from the universe for you to perhaps go in and, explore your shadow, maybe light a candle in that shadow space and bring that shadow out into the light, and let's transmute the energy from something that's unseen or unwanted or hiding, and let's transmute that into something really beautiful and empowering for you. But I believe that fees should be equal regardless of your discipline. I don't believe that any one discipline in the world we all live in is any better or more worthy than another. I believe we're just simply all different. We're all just doing something a little bit different to each other. But at the same time, we're equal. Okay, so you understand about this whole idea of polarity or even duality where, there's left and right and wrong. We talk about masculine and feminine, but bigger than masculine and feminine, bigger than right and wrong, bigger than whether you're a counselor or a coach or a social worker or a therapist. Bigger than all of that is that we're all in this together to help people. That's the big thing. And that's what we've all got so much more in common across our disciplines than we have that's separate to us, that divides us. And I think sometimes we get caught up, even unconsciously, in some of the narratives that we see in the world around us, whether that's online, whether that's through funding programs, having discrepancies around what they're going to pay people and things like that. So I guess my experience, for those of you who are interested, and if you're not, I'm going to tell you anyway. But my experience was that, I was told that I wasn't as good as everybody else in my profession, and therefore I had no place charging more. So I didn't. I was told that I should be bulk billing because it wasn't fair of me to charge people money. And so I believed that. I took that on board. I let that sit in my heart and I took that on. I was also told that because I wasn't a clinical psychologist, I had no right to be charging fees, right? I shouldn't be doing that. And I certainly shouldn't be charging fees like the clinical psychologists were. That was like a no-go. And then, so that was from my sort of community, not everybody, because of course there are always exceptions to the rule. And yes, there were psychologists like me who were charging fees, but I'm talking about my experience here. And this is what my experience was. Maybe I was just tuned into all the negative and I wasn't seeing the positive. But anyway, I'm just being totally open with you here. So then what happened was I started to believe that I shouldn't be charging because it wasn't fair. I started to believe if I was going to charge, I should keep my charges really low. I should keep my fees really low. So that's what I did. I believed that, I wasn't good enough in terms of other psychologists and what they were doing, i.e. clinical again. And some of these beliefs were actually fostered and nurtured and reinforced by, some things that had happened without the knowledge of many psychologists, I want to say. And again, this is just my opinion, But I think a lot of us weren't aware that our, in inverted commas, peak body had been advocating for some people and not for others, yet we're all paying fees to be equally represented. It's a whole other story. But the reason this is important is because it did result in government bodies like, NDIS and Medicare and things like that having different levels of fees for different psychologists. I'm just thinking about my world at the time. And so, you're constantly getting reinforced that you just weren't as good as other people. And I think it really was very, very confronting as well, because at the time I remembered feeling like so not good enough. And I just felt exasperated. I felt exasperated because I thought, holy camole, like I have a PhD here. My PhD was on evidence-based therapies. I've spent 20 years doing assessments, writing reports, doing the clinical interventions, all that sort of stuff. And yet people who were less experienced with less qualifications were suddenly deemed more worthy than me and should, whatever. Anyway, so it caused this whole thing, as you can hear. It caused this whole thing, and I'm fine with it now, and I'm going to tell you how I did that. But it bothers me that this is still a very dominant narrative in the world of health. Whether it's, when I say the world of health, I'm talking about social workers, psychologists, counselors, coaches. I really see that there is such a narrative that speaks to hierarchy. I mean, it reminds me of, the Roman caste system. It's like, there are levels. And I don't like that, because I believe that there aren't any levels. I believe we all have the same goal here, and we all work for the same outcome. We just do that work differently. So I don't believe that at any point your fees should be determined by how worthy you or the narrative says you are to charge them. And this is really important, because as a novice psychologist, in my case, and like maybe for you as a novice, or maybe for you as someone who's been in private practice for a while, you're listening to that narrative, and maybe you are just like I was and you swallowed it. Because there aren't that many people telling you the opposite, are there? And so you just kind of swallow it, and you just kind of believe it. And when it becomes a belief, it goes into your subconscious mind. And so you're not really aware that you're even operating from that belief of, you're not as good as everyone else, or you're not as worthy as everyone else. And then you start to do things in your practice that honor that belief, like you charge less or, you be more accommodating, or you forget your boundaries, or you have a scarcity mindset. And this shows up in other ways. Do you see what I mean? Like, it really snowballs without you even being aware of it. And so, that's what it was like for me too. And I kind of wasn't really aware of it, because after a while, when you start hearing that same narrative over and over and over and over again, you just like kind of tune out, because you've accepted it. Okay, it becomes your reality. So I guess what changed and how did I change it? Well, it changed for me when I got to the point where one of my core beliefs, and I know I'm not the only one with this belief, it's still something I'm working on today, but I have this belief like things should be fair. And one day I was really triggered by posts that somebody put up in Facebook around how, certain groups should be charging these really high fees and nobody else should. And in my mind, part of me just thought, that's not fair. That's so unfair. And I got really wound up by it back then. And so what I did was I found myself returning to my spiritual practices. And at that stage, one of those things was journaling. And I was just learning how to listen to my soul, or how to listen to energy, or that voice inside me, that higher self, whatever you want to call it. I was just really in the early stages of being able to listen to that voice more clearly and sort of call it on demand. And so that's what I did. So I pulled out my journal and I just started writing about how unfair it was and what I really wanted myself to know. And you know what? It was one of those experiences, where your hand just sort of it takes on a life of its own and it can't keep up with your brain. And, you're almost writing in a rush, like everything's just sort of flowing out and it's so messy and you're not even rereading it. It's just more important to get it all down on the paper. So that's what happened for me. And when I was finished and I was able to sort of, exhale, I did have a look at what I'd written. And what I had written was that, I'd uncovered a truth within me. It felt like a new belief, but it had been there the whole bloody time. And with this acceptance of my new belief, I came to see and really see what was true for me. And it was by seeing what was true for me that I was able to do things such as set fees. I mean, there were lots of other things, but today I'm talking with you about money mindset. But I was able to set fees that felt aligned for me because they were congruent with my truth. They were congruent with what I knew to be true about me. And what came through as a result of that exercise where I was connecting into my soul space was that I realized that I had swallowed the party line around, there being a connection between my fees and how good I was or how worthy I was or how valuable I was. When in reality, they have nothing to do with each other. They just don't. I know that I'm already worthy. I was born worthy. You were born worthy. We were all born worthy. And fees are just fees. And I don't believe that there actually is a connection between what your fees are and how worthy you are. And I'm really annoyed that there's this narrative going around in the community around worth. And so I'm on a mission to change that. I believe that the fee that's right for you has nothing to do, number one, with what others in your profession are charging, and number two, what others in your field are charging. Okay, I believe your worth is independent of all of that and that you know the right fee for you on the inside. And when you allow yourself to, well, for me it was journaling, but you could meditate on this or you could go for a walk and think about it and just be receptive to the guidance that comes through and see how that feels, and you could listen to that and you could absolutely operate from that space and come back and charge the fee that feels congruent with your truth about your worth. All right, if you took money out of the equation and you allowed yourself to think about your worth as a woman in health, what comes through for you, really start thinking about it from that space. If I had it my way, which I'm trying to get things happening my way, but I want this radical self-acceptance. I want all of us as women now to become the light for the women that are coming up through the ranks. And, we see all their posts, don't we, in the Facebook groups online. I talk about Facebook because that's where I hang out. I'm not really on Instagram or LinkedIn, but we see the posts from all these women, like the provisional psychologists. We see their posts, the social workers in training. We see it from the new grads. Let's not let them fall into the same traps we did. Let's show them they don't have to have their worth determined by people who are further along on the track. Let's show them that their worth is not tied into their fees. Let's show them that it's safe for them to honor who they are as women in health, in a helping profession, and show them that it's safe to set a fee that feels aligned and congruent for them. encourage them to put the blinkers on and the blindfolds on to what everybody else is charging so that they can, without external influence, set a fee that feels right for them. Let's break this cycle of looking to external things to feel okay about what we're charging. And let's create a new way for women in health to think about their fees. Let's lead the way, you and I, in this. And let's show these new women who are studying or who are new grads or even people who haven't reached this space yet. Let's show them that it's safe to do this. And let's offer them guidance around how they can do it, because guess what? When they do it, they embody more of their true self. And when they embody more of their true self, guess what opens up for them? You know, and I know that a whole new way of being in the private practice opens up for them. And don't you want that for people? This can be an opportunity for you to help somebody in private practice. This can be an opportunity for you to be a light for another woman who needs to see her own light. And I want to also invite you, if you're struggling to see your own light, and if you need steps and if you need processes and if you need support, let me know. Send me a message or send me an email and let's work through it together. I'm more than happy to support you with that. Okay, so what I believe now is, if I had my time over again, I would absolutely tell myself to stop looking at what others are doing, to stop believing what everybody else is saying about fees without questioning, and to stop accepting the things that I intuitively knew just weren't right. They just weren't true for me. Most of all, I tell myself that no one is worth more than anybody else. No one's service is worth more than anybody else's. Okay? We all work differently, but we're all equal in our desire to help. You don't have to, what do I want to say? You don't have to really, I don't know how to say this. Just embody your purpose. Okay, embody your purpose. Do that through connecting in with your soul. Do it with some journaling. Do it with your meditation. Okay. You choose the right fee for you, okay? You don't have to do what everybody else is suggesting that you do or telling you should do. You can be brave, you can be courageous. There's only love in your heart. Connect in with that and the guidance will come through about the fees that are right for you. I love helping women in private practice like you and I learn about how to overcome some of the challenges and the obstacles and the problems that we all experience by returning to who they are, by returning to their core essence, by tuning into this idea of, feminine energy and heart spaces. And it's for that reason that I've opened up 5 more coaching spaces. The spaces are available for the next 2 weeks. If you're interested in getting some information about what coaching with me would look like, let me know. Just send me an email or I'll put the information link in the show notes for you as well, so you can go and check it out. And this can be a time where we focus on helping you do things like make back that money on your investment into coaching through ways that feel more congruent with who you are and what you truly believe, so that you stop squashing yourself into a box that's just not your box, okay? All right. Thank you so much for listening. I'm really excited to hear what you thought of today's episode. Have a beautiful Saturday. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Private Practice with Soul podcast today. If you're looking for clarity, if you need help with branding, your processes, and bringing everything into alignment with your soul's purpose for your private practice, head to the show notes and click the link for more information about the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship. mentorship group. You are going to love it. I can't wait to see you in there. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.